Today my guest is Kevin Hazzard. Kevin, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. This conference, Mad Expo, it's winding down, I didn't get a chance to stop by the kids booth, but I understand you had a big crowd.
So not so much a booth.
What do you call it? What was
a room?
Kid room.
We had a whole room.
It was branded. It was like coding for kids or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, early on, when I first discussed this with Andrew Duthie about a year and a half ago, I had something called Coding for Kids. The idea, the concept, and the more we talked about it, the more we realized that we really needed a venue where we could do this. Because doing a code camp type venue or something really wasn't going to work. So a conference really made more sense. So as Mad Expo came together, it really looked like the right place to sort of launch it. And we really modeled it after some things that Lynn Langett is doing at teachingkidsprogramming.com. She's, I believe, a developer evangelist out west, and has put together a fantastic program for teaching kids how to do software development. We kind of expanded on the concept a bit and included a little hardware design, a little robotics, and just made it the whole day.
That's very cool. I was going to talk to you about something else, but let's talk about this instead.
That's fine.
I'm
flexible.
Let's do it. Tell me these ideas. Tell me about, who was it? Lynn
Langett.
Lynn Langett, she's developed some ideas.
Well, yeah,
for teaching computers to kids.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's got a great site, teachingkidsprogramming.com. And really there are some great extensions there they've developed a model for teaching that is just fantastic. You need to check it out to understand it. But
we'll summarize it.
Well, the great thing about the model they developed is, in my mind, it really epitomizes the way we as developers have tried to learn to think over the years. So, for example, starting with good requirements analysis all the way through testing.
Okay.
And what they've done is they really just start the kids with a code sample that has no code in it but only comments.
Okay.
And their goal is to replace the comments with code. They have to get rid of the comments and replace it with code. And as they do that, they then continue to evolve the design until eventually they run this code in a test harness. And the harness will actually test the validity of their design and throws in a little flourish at the end. So, for example, if they have to draw something on the screen, they'll draw it and then animate it. To give the kids that extra sense, hey, this is something really cool. They've taken my idea or my work and extended it a bit. And they get a pass-fail grade as part of the test. So it takes the whole process that all of us designers have gone through for the last really 15 to 25 years of developing this mindset of going from really good requirements, analysis, and development all the way through to the testing, and uses that as a teaching model. And it's fantastic.
Are you? Does it matter what language we're coding in?
It's language independent. They use Small Basic.
So what is that?
Small Basic.
I know Visual Basic is.
Right. So Small Basic is a project that Microsoft started several years ago that really is it's sort of a self-contained programming environment where you can write basic code, and you run it, and it executes with a graphics window or a text window, and you have a number of built-in objects. In fact, I say to a lot of people, I wish Visual Studio were more Small Basic-like.
Really?
Because some of the sort of built-in services that you would get through NuGet, the NuGet package manager, like there's a Flickr class for getting images, or there's a dictionary class for getting definitions. They're just built in. Right. I mean, just think about how great your programming environment would be if you had a dictionary.
Right.
You could just use it. You don't have to go instantiate services and do WCF bindings and all that mess.
That was a big. I looked at that as a big transition when I went from FoxPro to Visual Basic.
Right.
FoxPro was really self-contained. I don't know if you've done some FoxPro.
Oh, yes, yeah. And
it's
FoxPro is very
self-contained language. Everything's there in the language. VB is a very small language. Everything is in the libraries.
Right.
You've got to create, instantiate all this
right,
stuff.
Right. But FoxPro, to me, is very sort of the Python kind of mindset. In Python, we say batteries included.
Okay.
Right? It's just in there. Whatever you need, it's in there. And so Small Basic is kind of in that mindset. It's a very simplistic programming environment, but it has a run button, it has a publish button, and one of the neat things about the publish feature is you publish your code once you write it and run it and see that it verifies and does what you want. You publish it and it gives you a URL, which you can share with the world, and there's a Silverlight container up on smallbasic.com that when you give that URL to a friend, it just plays your application for them immediately.
So Small Basis is not only a language; it's also an integrated development environment.
It's an IDE.
And it's this sort of infrastructure that allows you to publish out to a
Yes, the infrastructure, the IDE, the language, and it has a graduate button.
Okay.
So once you've built something and you really want to step up to Visual Studio, you can convert that to a real Visual Studio application. It's a fantastic environment.
So we're using these tools in your what is it? What do I call it?
Mad
Session
Kids.
In your Mad
Mad
Kids. I knew it was
Kids.
branded as something.
So we wanted to brand it that way really after I spoke at Code Mash this year.
They had the Kids Mash.
Yeah, they have the Kids Mash, and I looked at what they did. I took what Lynn Langett and her folks were doing, teaching kids programming, the ideas that Andrew Duthie and I had kicked around a couple of years ago, and really have been kind of stewing on. And I said we should do something like this at Mad Expo. So Mad Kids it is. As we named it after the conference. And we had about 25 kids show up.
Nice.
At the height of it, it sort of went from just a few in the morning to a ballooned around lunchtime. We had about 25 kids, and then it sort of tapered off through the afternoon. But we touched robotics, software development. We did a little hardware design all throughout the day because I brought in some basic stamp 2 kits from Parallax. They donated to us.
Wow.
I brought in the snap circuits from Radio Shack, big snap circuit kits, and just sort of spread them all over the room. And the kids just played with them all day long. So it was fantastic.
So they're building circuits then with
some
resistors and some capacitors?
Transistors, capacitors, speakers. There's FM radio units. You name it, it's in the kids. It's fantastic. I think the kids got a lot out of it.
How about the coding? Were you actually teaching them coding? Using this technique?
Yes, so I didn't use Len's technique as much as I wanted to because the age range, the kids that I had, I don't think were.
What age is appropriate for that technique you were showing?
Well, the predominant age, I'd say the median age we had today was about 10 years old.
Okay.
So 8 to 12. We had some kids that were older and some that were a little bit younger, but I think that technique, that teaching technique that I spoke about, really is good for kids maybe 10 to 14. Really, because again, understand that it's that that concept that we've all come to as developers over the last 15 to 25 years about the whole life cycle of the development and what it takes to really produce high quality software. That requirements all the way through to testing and everything in between. So. The growth of the code in the middle, all of it has to come into play really between those boundaries, right? Requirements to testing. And to get those concepts end to end, I think you need to be sort of pre-teen. If you're, 8-year-old, an 8-year-old might have difficulty with it.
All right. Yeah. So what technique were you using today at Mad Kids?
I used a variation on it, just kind of abbreviated a bit because I wanted to not have the kids lose their attention during the time we had, but I did use that technique to a certain extent.
And then Small Basic?
Yeah, did use Small Basic. We also had a program on hand called Scratch from MIT, which is really more of a visual programming language. For example, you can drop in control objects and drop in other various commands, and then you can put in controls like it's really brilliant the way they've conceived it because when you put in a for loop, you drop it in, and it literally visually surrounds the other code, so that you can see that it's encapsulating that in a loop, which is really.
It's like Workflow Foundation.
It's really sort of like a workflow tool. It really is. That's a great analogy. But we use that throughout the course of the day. But for the teaching sessions, I use Small Basic. And the kids really seem to enjoy it. I had one time when one of the kids said, "I'm not interested in what you're doing. I'm not going to continue because I want to talk about peregrine falcons."
Okay.
So I just sort of took that at face value and said, "You want to see peregrine falcons?" And in 3 lines of code, I connected to Flickr, created an image list, loaded the image in, and then painted it on the screen and had it rotate the images through. All peregrine falcons.
You get his attention back then?
He was like, "I want to know more now."
Outstanding.
It was fantastic. So just great opportunities like that. You got to take them when they come.
And your kids came too?
My kids did come. Of course, I have kids in college, but the ones that aren't college age were here today and really enjoyed it. They were actually helpers most of the day because around my house, you can imagine, they're doing this kind of stuff a lot.
Around my house, my kids aren't programmers. They just...
Mine aren't either, but they like to tinker with things. So they were able to help out.
We could trade kids sometime, maybe. I'm just kidding. They don't watch the show. Great. Anything else you can share with us?
Oh, no, just feedback. Of course, we want to do this again next year. We're soliciting feedback. And anybody watching, if they have other ideas, please contact me. Can I give my email address?
Absolutely.
wkhazzard@gmail.com. And send me a note about any ideas that you have, criticisms or concerns, and I'll drink it all in, and we'll do it again next year.
Give your blog, too.
Oh, DevJourney, DEVJourney.com.
Devin, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Friends don't let friends use bad technology.